I guess we can just jump in and start. I think Wendy is our first celebrate. I don't know what we're calling this. I think it's weird to call it a tribute, but we're calling it a celebration of a person's profile celebration. So let's start with Wendy. Okay, I have to share my screen. Now I gotta get into this. How do I do my screen? Okay, share screen. And
hi, everybody.
Hey, everyone. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start with Gudinger. Here is her first pick for Wendy.
Okay.
Yes, that's my favorite.
Can you tell us a bit about why you chose it?
Yes, what I like in this picture is that it gives you the feeling of a landscape. I like such abstract images which give you the feeling of a landscape, and I also like the colors, and also that it has quite a three-dimensional look. You see in the front, you can see the first, which is in brown and in dark brown, and then at the horizon you can see this red, giving me the image of some kind of rocks or something like this. And this is what I like. I like the colors, the three-dimensionality, and also that it gives you the look of a landscape. That's therefore I've chosen this one. So I like it really very much. I went two times through all the photos.
Wow.
And I always stopped at this one.
Nice.
So this is therefore, and also there's some feeling of sky in the background. Then this is the third. So first, second, third. What is called plane? The third plane is the sky, and also some kind of sun, and the structure of the sky. You see these perpendicular, very soft stripes, and so yeah, that's therefore I like this one very much.
Thank you.
Cool. Anyone else want to comment on this image?
Wendy, did you flip this, like rotate it? Because the little red drops there in the center look like the sun is hitting the top of them, and yet they look like paint that's dripping downward.
Because of the dripping paint, I mean, I don't remember, in particular.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But given that those drops are the way they are, it was probably turned upside down. I agree.
Which is great, especially when you're abstracting things the way we claim to be doing. You can mess with the capture, if you know what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be a straight shot and going, that's what I saw. You go, oh, let's, like Paul is always saying, let's put it on a spindle and rotate it around.
Exactly.
But I love, and that really supports what Gudrun said is about, it looks like the sun, it's a landscapey thing. And so then that makes sense that the source of the light would be hitting those little, images from above. So I really
whatever
like that.
The hoodoos or something.
That's really great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sometimes I'll see it in the field, and I'll know that I'm taking something upside down. But sometimes I'll get, when I'm processing my raw file, I will rotate it around, and sometimes scenes, and that's probably what happened with this, scenes will emerge, this landscape. This I call morning watch. To me, it's like a sunrise. And so these things will happen. Maybe while I'm taking it, and then maybe also in my office when I'm processing it.
Well, it also looks like a bunch of people here possibly are watching that sunrise, that they're standing here on this ridge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, really cool.
Thank you.
I often think too, there's like a instinctual sense of the rotation, especially when you're thinking about a landscape, like just naturally where like you have a circle that has to be the sun. Like there's only one. Sometimes it just fits in like how the space is constructed, that it has to be that way, you know, like
Yes.
it doesn't make sense. I mean, sometimes I like the messing with that expectation, but sometimes it's like the landscape is the clear focus of it. But yeah, it kind of orients itself. Cool. All right. So I'm going to just continue to Anke is the next. There we go. Uh-huh. Oop. All right, go ahead, Anke. Are you there?
Yeah, moment.
Okay, there we
Oh,
go.
okay. Yeah, I was on mute, and because you're on the screen, I didn't find the right button.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah, it's similar to the last picture. I find also like a landscape with the sun breaking through clouds. And in the foreground, it could be a fence with a person, or, well, something. Yeah, fence and a person, I think. Yeah, I would really like to know from Wendy what it really was, in case she remembers.
You mean what who the subject was?
Yeah, what did you take?
Well, it's of a dumpster. It's of the surface of a dumpster.
Okay.
Of course, right. I mean, I do photograph other things. And I agree that that is also how I interpreted, you know, this image, you know, as a landscape. Very similar in terms of title too, these two. This one is Greeting the Dawn, and these are the only two, I think, in my body of work that are like this. So it's interesting that the two of you chose dawn pictures.
Yeah, and different ones as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also wondering, was it really like this on the dumpster, or did you do processing and processing and processing, and then you said,
No.
oh yeah, this is...
I am a real minimalist as far as my processing is concerned. I never add anything to my images, like textures or anything like that. I never layer anything onto. I never add anything. I do clean my images. I adjust light, I sharpen, I crop, I rotate. Pretty much what you could do in a dark room. If you were a black and white photographer, it's a little harder for color, but so I know I don't, I will bring out color through the adjustment of light, but no, this is as I found it.
Okay, and it really looked similar to this on the dumpster.
Yes.
Wow.
Now it might have been a little paler. I might have adjusted the light to bring out, you know, the clouds and the, what I see is kind of mountains in the background. Or I also sometimes see a lake in it, you know, with reflections in a lake. But I'm sure I adjusted the color to bring those features out. Not the color, but the light, because I rarely ever change color.
Contrast, yeah.
Will you do a little bit of saturation too?
Very rarely. sometimes when I process my images, I've taken raw, you know, on a camera. So this one actually may have been an iPad or an iPhone. I don't know. This one might have been an iPhone, but I will. In Photoshop raw processor. There's a haze, and sometimes things will be like real hazy, and I'll just bump the haze up a little bit to bring more clarity. Yeah.
I really like this piece. It was on my list as well. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It was on my top list because I had like 3 lists. It reminds me, oddly enough, I don't know if you guys have seen the lithographies that Salvador Dali made of the Quixote. How do you say the Quixote in English? The Quixote. The big book Cervantes is famous for in Spanish, where
Don Quixote.
Don Quixote.
Oh.
He has all these. I mean, I know it's a photograph and it comes from a completely different aspect, but just the form, the 2 figures in figures, the 2 black spots in the front, one with this line, and Don Quixote and Sancho Panza are going in these lithographies of Salvador Dali with all these colors melting. I saw that years ago. It's a whole series. I mean, 20 years ago. And when I saw your photo, it just brought all that series back to my head. I'm like, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
It's just random personal view, but I was like, oh, look, it's so weird how abstract can bring back memories of other kind of abstract, kind of not things. So yeah, I see Don Quixote going there to look for some windmills.
Tilting at windmills. I saw the same thing.
For me, it had and maybe it's just because we just passed Remembrance Day, but it has a no man's land kind of feel to it. I don't know if it's the cross of the black spot on the left, and I just saw All Quiet on the Western Front on Netflix. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but brilliant and very gritty. But I don't know. For me, it has this no man's land, World War I kind of feel.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah, apocalyptic, barren. The cross of that cross. I don't know. It has this kind of ominous, calm of in fog of war. I don't know. That's for me what came up in this person having a spike. Yeah, it had that's what it came up for me.
Yeah, I try not to see that. I was a history teacher, and I taught that movie, Tim, about 100 times.
Yeah.
And so I try not to let that lens of mine color everything I see. But when you do have a couple of figures there and you can sort of imagine a sword in the hand of that one. And, I agree. The militaristic and definitely the World War I, the desolation of all those wasted lands I really see that. But I try not to comment every time because it's oh yeah, another war, So I want to broaden my horizons a little bit.
I love in abstract photography how people can see so many different things.
Yeah.
And it's, that the viewer is so involved in the interpretation of the image.
It's real moody for me. And I mean, it has 3 dimension, even though, it's 2-dimensional, just those rough spots or the paint. I mean, it's just a moment in time. I mean, with all this abstract stuff that we find, I mean, it's just amazing. Man's marks.
I can't really make out where, but to my mind, it also is a bit like a balloon.
Oh yeah, those lines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's those light lines kind of coming off in the middle.
Yeah.
They're tied to the post.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be it. Yeah, because I couldn't really make out where exactly is it, but is just in my mind, balloon.
For me, it is really frightening. Well, like Christic, apocalyptic, and the one raising a stick to the sky, and well, something of the end of the world. Of I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe the colors, this red, is introducing such a feeling. And also, I think the black figures at the bottom, they let you think a lot what this might be. At the end, when you look at the picture, you stay at this black person. For me, it looks like a person, the right one, and you think what this might be, and your thoughts go around and around. What is the meaning? So you can stay quite a long time at this image, especially because of these two black spots at the bottom here, which let you think what this might be, and so on and so on.
Yeah, the cropping is really great.
I think this is important. The two black things are very important for this image.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what I saw this person kind of walking up over a ridge and seeing the sunrise. So I find it really fascinating that apocalyptic war scene. It's really fascinating to me because I saw something so different.
For sure.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you.
All right, let's do another one. This is Jess's pick.
Peach pea.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I'm walking. I try to get a little movement in while we have our calls, among other calls as well. I'm a sucker for peel. So while it was very hard for me to choose, just because Wendy, I think you find some of the prettiest dumpsters that there are, or there's something about.
So jealous.
I
I
know,
admit,
these
I'm
are
jealous. I've got dumpster envy.
these are like gorgeous.
I have to agree. I'm just astounded at the dumpsters you found. Like those dumpsters don't exist here.
Yeah,
No.
you know,
But
where are
guys
you,
are in
Barb?
France.
Where are you located? Barb?
Me, I live in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah.
They don't have colors.
Do you have plastic dumpsters?
No. But, I think that they were probably all painted one sort of color. And the amount of variation you get is brown rust and a bit more brown rust.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I think probably here it pays to live in a poorer state because things aren't as well maintained as in other states and places. You probably have more beautification efforts. So we've got great dumpsters. And businesses will paint over their dumpsters, to freshen them up, and then those peel, and it just kind of introduces a lot of layers. And then also too, the sun is really strong here. I'm in the high desert.
I have the same environment, but further north. But I think you're right in that most of our dumpsters come from a few companies and they have corporate looks.
Yeah, new dumpsters or refurbished dumpsters aren't very interesting.
No.
And then I feel sorry for Europeans because evidently they have plastic ones there. And so they don't, there's one woman in Rome I know who photographs some dumpsters, but there are not many there or anywhere in Europe.
Well, is it dumpsters or is it bins? Like
we call them dumpsters, but there's sometimes they're containers, or sometimes they're like
skips as well.
What do you call them?
Skips. They call them skips in England.
Okay.
I've heard that expression. We have communal bins, which are, well, about a person's height, and they're plastic, but the skips that you order when you want to move out or clear out your granny's house or something, they're metal here.
Mhm.
But I don't see them around so much. Maybe I have to look for them more.
Well,
right.
I wanted to add,
Yeah,
if that's
please
okay,
continue.
that what above and beyond the obvious dumpster envy, that this image I like images where there are like multiple stories on like one image. And so in addition to like the curl in the center, which is like the transition from the left to the right, you know, even if it was just like the far left section, that in and of itself would have been interesting enough for a single photo. And then the you all have to correct me, bouquet, is that the word for like the background?
Oh,
Bouquet, is that right?
yeah.
I think
Bouquet
bouquet.
is like when you have a spot of light that's like super blurred out, or
Yeah, so the far right, I really like the bouquet on this one too, on this
yeah.
image. So
Yeah.
I feel like from left to right, top to bottom, there's just so much to take in. So thank you so much, Wendy. I loved checking out your. I mean, I've already been liking your posts, but it was really nice to look at all of it sort of as a body of work for this day today.
Oh, I appreciate you doing that, and all of you, because this is a real gift. Thank you.
Nice. Okay, let's keep going. This is get out of there. How do we get around that? Okay. All right. Next we have Muriel. I think we haven't done Muriel yet.
No.
Okay.
Well, it was a very difficult choice, and I chose this one, but it could have been another one because I'm really a fan. And well, I chose this one because of the minimalism of both the image and the title. Well, that's it. There's nothing to add, and this is very powerful. It is monochrome and it is dark, but at the same time it is shining. For me, it shines really, and there is only, well, we can see only similar kind of shape, but if you look, no bird. I really see birds. Well, I guess when this is true because of the title. No bird is similar to another one, and they are all different. And at the same time, they are forming whole, just one big whole things, like in the sky, like in the reality. And I think, well, it's really a genius eye needed to crop this part of something I imagine much larger. I don't know, Wendy. it is a small part of something else, or I don't know.
Oh, it is the inside of a dumpster, like splashed paint or matter, or so it was part of a wall of the inside of. I didn't climb inside. I don't climb inside, but I do take photos of inside dumpsters from the outside.
I think that's a very safe thing to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a small part. You have chosen to crop this little part of a larger.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fairly large section of a panel of an inside, you know, but I definitely, there was probably trash underneath it that I cropped out. And then I saw what I saw as a flock of birds and this light, with the kind of the sun
Yeah.
in the top right corner. So I saw that scene, and then I decided that's where I would crop it. But sometimes, especially the inside of dumpsters, I often take them with an iPhone because I can kind of hold my phone down into the dumpster. But I'm always afraid I'm going to drop it. So I work pretty quickly, and then I'll find the image afterwards. Or I'll see it and then just roughly photograph it and then adjust it.
Okay. Well, I can hear the wings flapping and the birds' cries. It's really strong. What you said about the sun, I thought, well, in my eyes, it could be the halo of the moon also, and there is also a great lot of movement. Well, for me, it's wonderful. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you, Miriam.
Beautiful. Yeah, like flamingos. It's like a flock of flamingos. The water, like a really such a simple photo, but so evocative at the same time. Really cool.
I also like it very much. For me, it looks like a swarm of grasshoppers darkening the sun. So
yeah, again with the sun there.
I also like it.
All right, we're gonna keep moving here because we're already half an hour. I mean, I don't know how time-wise we're gonna do. We're just gonna play it by ear, but I'm trying to balance it, so we keep moving here. This is, who did I say this is? This is Ann Evans.
Yeah, again, Wendy, I just really love your feed. I've noticed that there's sections that are kind of color related, and it changes. That's really neat. I don't necessarily go for the landscape look. I like the marks and the scribbles, but this again is kind of reminding me of a landscape, like a snow scene, and I just was drawn to this one. I flagged like 6 of them, and I couldn't make my mind up, because there's some light ones, dark ones that you have that are just incredible. And this reminds me of a snow scene, a cliff or water in there, and this one tall white piece might be some kind of plant sticking up out of the snow, and then in the distance there's some vertical, I really love it.
What's really cool about especially Wendy's abstracts, where she's shooting paint, and as Anne was saying, you think of it as the scribbles and the blots as an abstract painter would do, but these have such depth. I mean, the dimension, you can really feel, almost the 3D-ness, and yet the 3D-ness is not because of the image itself. It's all these layers of paint and color and light and everything, and capturing you're stepping into a scene. It's hard not to see it, as she said, as landscapes, because there's just so much wonderful, in and out and entering into a space. It's really amazing.
Yeah, so it's like the foreground, middle ground, and background, and now I'm noticing the background, that glow of the blue reminds me of the sky, but then it's like a storm maybe coming from the left. I mean, it's just, the more I look at it, the more I just see even ice floating maybe in that dark part. Wow.
Yeah, for me, this is like William Turner in the 21st century looking at some dark, I don't know, place in like Alaska. From like, you can see all the black. I see it like the ocean with pieces of ice, and in the back, that line of white and color is like a city on the other side. what's his paint? Dumpster paint. It's pretty amazing because I do get a lot this feeling of landscape, but of like William Turner kind of seascape, crazy dynamic with the colors and the scratches. You have a really developed eye for this. I see, like you've trained your eye so well from something that it was initially attracted to. I do hope your phone does not end up in the dumpster, or you don't climb. But I mean, I understand the feeling of just pursuing it more and more as time goes. And it's pretty amazing what you do.
Well, thank you. Sometimes I wonder if I'm in a rut because I'm so like focused on that. But at the same time, I find different things each time. So it's not like I'm photographing the same thing. I mean, it may be the same type of thing, but the images are so different from each other. So it keeps me engaged. But sometimes I think maybe I'm in a rut.
I wouldn't think
you're
that you're in a
refining.
rut. I
Sorry.
wouldn't think you're in a rut, Wendy, because when I look at your whole feed, it doesn't feel the same as other feeds that I've looked at, where image after image is, minor variations. It's just your topic may be, or your subject may be the same, but they're so varied that, your feed just keeps changing. It changes colors, it changes composition. I wouldn't feel that way. I'd get past that.
No, alive. That feed is so alive, really.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I don't think, like, maybe it might feel like a rut at times, especially because of how, in a way, how instantaneous photography is. But if you think yourself slightly, let's say like a painter or a writer, what you have to do is go through the process so many times till you start seeing or painting or writing what you really wanted to catch, right? They call it your voice or whatever. But I think sometimes it's like, oh, they kind of look alike when you look at maybe you might say you look at many together. But I think what you do is really refine. And so through the process of going through the dumpsters and catching all these different things, it's not just the dumpster and the abstract. It's like, oh, this is the composition. Wendy goes kind of here, You start developing the whole language of yourself. I think that's really cool. And yeah, one has to take gazillion photos to start finding and seeing those patterns.
Yeah. Thank you. It still excites me. I just wonder about too.
On this image, sorry, Tim, just one word. I think the light is very important on the background, and I think like Nirvana just say it is like a classical painter like Turner or something like that. And we have several. We have light effect in several of your image. It was also on the first one with the big sun, and I think it is not a light effect, isn't it? But it seems so. But it is not a real light effect. I mean, you don't have at the background the sun forming this halo, Wendy. It is a false light effect.
Well, you mean because of the color, that the color itself creates the light rather than the light hitting the metal surface?
Yeah,
yeah, it might be a little bit of both. There might have been some sun hitting there, lightening it up, but it's probably the majority of it's created by paint, by the color of the surface itself, the light. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Well, but it's really amazing, and it looks like a classical painting. It's strange.
I think it might be sun decoloration of the paint, as especially being a dumpster and being in contact with weird other substances that decay with the sun, and the sun is so hard that you start seeing where does the dumpster regularly get the sun. It starts decaying. It looks so shaded that I think it is the light, but over a very long period of time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm thinking maybe it's a reflection of something in the picture. Like it was sunny and it reflected up that kind of bluish gray.
There's definitely some, feels like there's some light.
Yeah,
here, but
like
it could be just be fade too. It's hard to.
yeah, I can't
to
tell.
tell.
It kind of glows though. There's some kind of sheen on it. I don't know.
I'm also wondering too, if the right side of the picture is not the top, kind of the top where the sun is coming in, and the bottom, and it's just been turned on its side. Would be my other guess.
Yes, actually, this is a shipping container, and it has been turned on the side. This was like a rail, you know, probably it was about 4 inches wide on a shipping container, you know, one of the beams on it.
Right.
And so it was turned on its side.
Okay.
So the white, you know, would have been vertical.
Oh, I see.
But a lot of times those scenes that are vertical, if you turn them over, they're landscapes. And a lot of times I'll see them before I photograph them. They go, oh, there's a landscape, and photograph it. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's keep going. We've got Ann. Oh, did I already take that one? No. Ann Evans.
Thank you, everyone.
That's
Oh,
Barb is next. That's
okay.
mine.
Sorry. Let's go. Barb.
Oh yeah, I saw that one too. Oh.
So what initially really grabbed my attention was the composition of this. You know, the different textures, the different colors, the different shapes being, you know, the circle, the line, and then with the random leaves thrown in. And I'm going to guess this wasn't a dumpster.
No. My other passion is the sidewalk in the street.
Well, this one is just a fabulous part of the street because it goes from that gray pebble with this graphical black line to the more or less exact same gray, but more concrete and plain. I
believe this was of the gutter. And so you have the street on the right, and you have the gutter, the curb, the beginning of the curb on the left, the gutter on the left. And it's been marked by the electrical company, you know, for, that's what that blue and red marking is.
Yeah.
They mark the streets where they're going to do electrical work or pipe work or something like that. And I love finding those because often they're great at tracks.
Oh, that's what I love in Chicago. Oh my gosh. The streets downtown, the crosswalks.
Oh, what a delight.
And the paint. I mean, the utility paint can be crazy.
I love utility paint.
And
we're a nutty bunch, aren't we?
Here's a question, Wendy. Like, how often will you, when you look at something like on the ground like that, my initial thought was like, I don't know if I would have left those leaves there. I may have just like given them a brush and just had the pure, geometry of it. You know what I mean? But I also, looking at it now, it's like, okay, that adds a natural kind of natural chaotic flow to it, having these other natural images contrasting with the city, like urban vibe to it. So I'm just wondering, like, how often do you adjust your subject before you, if it's something like this?
On the street, I've been photographing the street for a long time, and on the street, I have found when I try to adjust things, I mess things up. That somehow the scene is disturbed.
Yeah.
And so generally, I mean, if there's something that's really annoying and I can get to it, I'll flick it off. But generally, I'll photograph what I find. And so this is part excuse me, of a series I'm currently working on called Scattered, and it's finding scattered leaves and debris in the fall. And but it's very typically that I won't move things, like that little leaf on the white spot that was there. I didn't place that there.
Yeah,
that
of
was
course.
the
Yeah.
leaves. And I thought actually the leaves really added to it because it kind of looked like a tree trunk. The black tar kind of looked like a tree trunk with leaves just kind of flowing down in front.
Well,
of
and
the
that
trunk.
the leaves fall right on the black to really pop them out. If they had been off to the side over the more stony concrete, they wouldn't have popped as much, you know. It's
Right.
It's good fortune that they landed the way they did. That's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Okay, amazing. This is fantastic. Let's okay, I think I've got one from Nirvana here. We've got a few options. I'm just gonna go with the first one here, Nirvana.
Yeah, that's the idea, just in case somebody had chosen
Okay,
the
you
other
have
one.
some backups. Believe me, I had Wendy as my Secret Santa months ago, so I realized the difficulty people had in choosing just one because it's a plethora.
I really like this. Well, I really like the bunch, but I found, I don't know if from looking, I realized that there are like 3-4 categories I would put, or types of series, or I don't know. I would separate some photographs of Wendy. And this one, what I really liked, and there's few of this type that are kind of, I find they're like abstract without seeing a landscape so well, or it's like a Martian landscape or a futuristic illustration. Like it goes further away even than, let's say, first level abstraction. There is something, it's between scribbles, but at the same time shapes, rocks, holes, craters. There's like 5 photos I found that I would put in this one, and this was my favorite, which is called Energy. And I told Wendy, I said this would look amazing if it were like 1 meter by something on a wall, because there is so much detail when you get close to it, but at the same time there is so much going on in a harmonious, dynamic way when you look large. And there's all these tones. Even though there's a lot of very beautiful photographs Wendy has done with bold, under the sun, bold shadows, bold colors, there's also these kind of hazy ones that have this transparency layered feeling to them. It's amazing. Like if I saw this printed large, I wouldn't know if it's a painting, a photograph of a rover in Mars, or a dumpster. And
It's psychedelic,
I thought it was kind of different from some others, so I said, in case this one doesn't come up, I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
I would really love this on my desk. Like it would be so inspiring every morning to look at it. Like, yeah, let's do stuff.
I'm gonna guess that this was a dumpster that burned.
Yes.
Because when they, oh my God, dumpsters on fire, I know is this idiomatic cliche, but
that's what we should call the group.
Dumpster fire.
Dumpsters on fire?
Yeah, I don't like the junky word. So dumpsters on fire. Oh, I think you got something here. But what I'm saying about this is that I've made a couple of shots. I've been lucky enough to find a dumpster that has burned, and it creates, I mean, and this is over time, the paint and then a lot of dumpsters will have something, some adhesive thing, you know, the brand name or the company, the trash company, or whatever it is on there, and then it burns off or down, and you have the melting effect, and you get these wonderful kind of glassy effects underneath there.
Yeah.
And then they continue to use the dumpster and they scratch it, which is all this top layer. So you really, again, the depth that's created here is just fantastic. And eventually it's almost not recognizable even as, you can sort of tell maybe it's metal because of these rough little rusty edges. But, if you can, I almost am tempted to just take a blowtorch out with me and go and create one of these things, because they're so amazing and fantastic. And it's, that's really, like she said, up another level from the abstract. It's like second level, third level abstract. So, and God knows, I don't know how dumpsters catch on fire. and I keep saying, no, officer, I didn't do this myself. I'm just shooting the pictures, I'm not an arsonist, but when you keep taking these pictures of fired dumpsters, you begin to wonder, is this coincidental? But yeah, it's terrific. And, kudos, Wendy, for finding it and using it.
Yeah, the minute
Fire does pearlize the surface, the metal surface.
Yes. Yeah, I love that word.
Pearlize.
Yeah, the minute
You take a mask because it's probably kind of toxic if it still has any kind of fumes.
Yeah.
It's not hot. It's cool.
Yeah, all these little dots here, like it just all those little dots are just add so much to it, I feel like.
Yeah, because they're very organic. It isn't like
Yeah.
They arise out of the melting glue or paint or water or gasoline or whatever's going on in there.
Yeah, like I said, it has like a psychedelic feel, like that old timey psychedelic backdrop. Well, Lou Reed is playing, and it's kind of like this amoebus blorp that they have in the background.
A light show.
Oh yeah, this is something underneath a slide in a laboratory too. The
exactly.
amoebic sense is very great there. I like that.
Or even like the Hadron Collider, like it just has like this, like something exploding happening.
I just thought of Kandinsky, the painter, the Russian painter Kandinsky. The minute I saw that, oh my gosh. And there's so much depth, but the colors are subtle, but they're colorful. I don't, the warm and the gray contrasting each other. And but yeah, there's things going on there.
Well, go on, Wendy.
Oh,
No.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Well, just I would like to add something about the colors. Well, they are very important, I think, in many of Wendy's photos, but there are also a few colors for each photos. Well, it's not like a rainbow. You have often only two tone and declination of different I don't know the word. Well, it's like for example, you have here the pink and the gray, and there is a lot of declination of each color, but you have only two colors. Often it's the same. I mean, there's no so many colors on one image. Do you see what I mean? Or?
Yes, I'm pretty
Like contrasting colors, like warm and cool, or
Yeah, I don't like to. I like to be subtle with my colors if I can. I don't like to over saturate anything or over contrast. But so a photo like this wouldn't look good in black and white because it doesn't have enough distinction. The transitions are very subtle and kind of creamy. So this would, anyway.
I want to say something. Despite of dumpster and poison and fire, for me, this is a picture for dreaming. Just for dreaming. When you look at it, your thoughts flow away and you can dream about anything. So just shortly.
Dream evoking.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is mine, Wendy's.
Saw that one too. Oh,
I mean, this one I just, first of all, I already fell in love with Wendy's entire profile from being her Secret Santa. And, but this, so going back again, it was like, oh man, this again, I have to choose one of all these amazing, and just how her profile has so many like seasons of colors going through it, I just think is so brilliant and beautiful. But this one was, that's snow. Where were you for this? Like, was there snow in Arizona?
I'm in New Mexico. Yeah,
Oh,
we get.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm at above. We're higher than Denver, where I live in Albuquerque.
Oh wow. Okay.
We're at. My house is at 5,500 feet, and it gets up to 8,000 feet here in the city. So yeah, we get snow. This isn't a parking lot. This is I'm doing a series on handicap spaces and parking lots. It's the mobility series. And this is one of those in that series. And I just do it over time. I keep
It's
an
an
eye
ongoing,
on
yeah. Yeah, I love the natural snow effect over top of the blue and white kind of clearly city feel. And I love the kind of aerial view, like it looks like it could be looking through clouds, or at like the cracks on the pavement being like a map of a city. And you know, a city near water, but maybe I don't know, like a Google map aerial view kind of came to mind. But yeah, the natural organic shape of the snow on top of the hard lines, and then up below that the cracks, which are more organic again, like just a nice mix of organic and natural shapes. And I'm just a sucker for blues and whites too. Like I really like those color combinations.
Thank you.
What's wonderful about these sort of traffic-y, you know, like this was the handicap spot. It went after she said that, I went, oh yeah, there's that curve of the wheel thing. And they paint them over and over again quite regularly because of course they need to delineate the space. And I took some pictures like that in a beach town where it's a lot of salt air and stuff, and they have to keep maintaining, you know, the yellow crosswalks and then these, and then the weather gets at them, but they have to keep them maintained for safety. And like you can see on this one, there's like, well, all that crackle is likely the result of lots of paint over time being broken down, and then they have to put it back, and then it breaks up again under the snow or the effect of the sun or whatever it is. And you know, I'm the technical person today going, oh, that's how you do these. But it's fascinating I mean, and I keep an eye on certain traffic areas in my town and when you're traveling, because you go, that's gonna bust any minute now. The crackler is gonna pop, you know, when it gets really hot or it starts to snow on it or something. And you can get so many images out of, you know, one piece, one actual place, and then without much processing. Like Wendy says, I don't like to process a lot, but you don't have to. It's great.
Crosswalks are wonderful.
Oh yeah.
When they spread, the paint breaks down.
Oh gosh.
You're a lover too.
Oh yeah, I have like many series of those, but they're not all on my feed. But
Nice. Okay, I think we've done everyone. Have I missed anyone's that?
I sent a couple, but I didn't see them on there. But it's okay because
Where did you send them? And
on DM. I mean, but it was like several days ago. And I just said, hi, this is mine. Oh, there's Jess and Lauren. I did a Wendy one like a couple of days before that. And
Okay, Wendy, I think I got.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Oh,
Oh, nice
oh
choice.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that one too. Oh gosh.
I mean,
And-
there's no wrong answers with Wendy.
Well, and you see, we've already discussed the effect of burning on dumpster paint. And so I just, hey, I gotta do this one. And you can
Definitely another good-
burlesque.
It is a burnt dumpster.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're experts
different
now,
one, though.
but yeah, but I mean, the glassiness of it is so wonderful. And then you have this very deep, dark background on it that just,
Yeah.
really knocks your eye out with it. And like Muriel was saying, there's only really like maybe 2 or 3 colors in here, but the gradations of it, so it isn't too busy, and you keep it muted so it isn't garish. If you cranked up the saturation on these, they'd certainly be dramatic, but I think they would lose a little of their gravitas, let's say. It's just kids splashing primary colors around. It's like, no, you can give it a more subtle bent, and it's really lovely. It's just, you're my hero, Wendy, and just
Oh, wow. Yeah, and this resolution, on the screen does not show the detail. There's a whole lot more detail in this when you have it at 300 PPI rather than, I think this is at 96 that I said it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
But it's
a
good.
lot more detail to this photo than what you see.
Boom.
Do you shoot on a phone or with a camera?
I shoot with a phone because I have it with me a lot of times and I find things that, and I also shoot with a Sony 7R3A, which is a full frame mirrorless camera.
Mm-hmm. Your phone, do you have what's your phone? I've got a 12 Pro. Do you have like a newer?
No, I've got a 7.
Oh, wow.
This might have been taken with a 7.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I won a prize on an iPhone 6 when the 10s and 11s were out, and the judge was going on and on about technology and how it's important to stay up, and he goes, and this one, and I went, and he goes, and what did you use to shoot this? And I'm kind of a whole room full of people. I'm like, iPhone 6, because I had just blown up his whole speech about why you need to have fancy equipment. So I just took my prize and slunk out of the room because it was
That's a great story.
iPhone 6. I'm like, well, you have what you have, and if you know what you're doing, it'll turn out well. But I mean, of course, who wouldn't want fancy equipment? But when you don't have it, or when, like you said, you come upon this, you don't go on a photo shoot too much. Some of us do.
Yeah,
Let's go on a photo shoot to
I
a
do go
dumpster.
out.
And we do, but other photographers are going, seriously. So we're kind of classified more as found art. But so again, the iPhones are great for that because you have them, and but you get wonderful results with them. So
yeah, and I'm not sure that's what this is taken with. Often what I'll do is I'll find something initially, and if it's a really good dumpster, I'll come back with my camera.
Yeah, with the good stuff.
And I'll have the iPhone, but I'll really come back with the camera because those images are 42 megabytes, the raw files.
Yeah.
So there I could really blow up big.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, as we let's just finish off with, I'm just doing a slow scroll through her page, but what would you guys say are some of the overriding themes of Wendy's shots? Like, as a photographer, what would you say are her main, when we talked about Duplessis, we talked about his playfulness with the subject matter, we talked about his use of the bright colors of the blue sky. I mean, I guess with Wendy, it would be dumpster centric.
And also, I think these few colors with many gradations and variations.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a good point too. Like the not oversaturated, more subtlety of the color gradient. Yeah. Any other
decay?
general?
Decay.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to find the word. I'll throw it in when I find it.
Lovely.
And I think Wendy tends more towards what I would say within the abstract form, landscape more than a portrait, so to speak. So even though there are many photographs that do have like a subject kind of central, a lot of them go more to exploring like spaces. She creates a lot of spaces through these abstracts.
Along those landscape, I was going to say there's just a lot of juxtaposition. Like even, the one that's on the bottom left that you're going through right now, that was my second choice because there's, like juxtapositions come out in her photos a lot.
Yeah, that's a good word.
And just such variety, like really a stunning variety of images of like, it just feels like there's so much. Like for Wendy to say she's feeling like she's shooting, like she's in a rut, like you are the least rutted photographer I can name. This is like such a glorious variety of shapes and colors, themes.
Part natural part too, the beaches and some of those shadows of tree, I like that too. Oh, and these are just incredible too, these rusts. Oh
yeah, it's endless, Wendy. Like don't change a thing. Keep doing what you're doing. It's so beautiful, brilliant.
To the orange, oh gosh.
Yeah, we could we could go all day. We could go all day, but we're gonna move on to Jess now.
Thank you so much, everybody. This was wonderful and very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Like this is, I can't stop. It's all
I know
good.
you cannot stop.
Right? It's so good. Okay. So let's change now to Jess. I'm gonna leave all my files open, all the choices open, and maybe I'll post all of them in the photographer group chat later so people who missed it can see. All right, so we go back to
30 minutes.
Goodinger for Jess. All right. Oh, and Jess has joined us on camera. Nice.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. So this
I've not switched on my phone, so now I'm back. Actually, this is a series of photographs. I think about 10 or so on. And what I like most is the series because you go when you go, you come to another world. I think it's always nearly the same place, and you get very different views on the same place. This is what I like here, and completely different things, completely pure abstracts, and therefore I have chosen this series here because it brings you from a macro, which is interesting. This was the first one with all these like bubbles here, bubbles with structures inside, this tiny little cracks here. And at the end of the series, you end with something very different. And therefore, I like the series. Also, the colors are very nice here. All this mixture between green and blue. Sometimes I have different difficulties to talk with people about green and blue because they see it differently. But what I see is here some mixture from green to blue. And then at the end, we are at completely different things on the same place. Now the cracks become important. Now the the larger forms become important. You have only 3 fields of different colors here. Structure is nearly the same. And now the structure becomes important, the macro structure. In the beginning, we started with micro structure. And this is why I like this whole series so much.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Most of my oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was at the end, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying that most of my photos are series, and I like to sort of stack them from micro to macro. I was sitting on the playground supervising my child while I took those in Washington, D.C.
Nice. Okay. And this is like the spongy kind of playground surface,
like after,
right?
Yeah, that kids play on. Yeah.
Cool.
Was
I
it
like the double meaning of the title. Sorry, go ahead, Wendy.
I was just asking, it looks like it has been patched or something, but what could contribute to those various colors? I guess it was originally intentional coloration, but
yeah, so it's a hill, on a playground, and it has been patched. And I think they don't really care. I'm sure the city doesn't care about exact color matching. So each time they would patch in, it was just a little bit different.
Nice. And I like the title is This Is My Playground is kind of the double meaning of the micro macro world is your playground. It's also literally your child's playground.
It's very topographic. It's as you move out, it's like one of those, US Geological Survey maps. And then it's figurative when you get to this point. But then, as you go in and out, you go from figurative to really abstract. It's really great.
Cool.
What I like too in the series is the making of side one. You show us the macro, and then you show us the context, and this is great too.
Yeah, that's I think that we're going to look into that a little bit more as we continue, right? That's a theme.
Yeah.
Okay, Anke.
I didn't realize that until now. I'm seeing that when I didn't really dig deep.
Okay. Yeah, I like the mix of abstract and non-abstract here. Like it could be bird poo on some kind of rail or something. And yeah, I found it a bit different from the other pictures, so I liked it. Oh, and there's a shadow and light.
Oh yeah, nice.
And we've seen a lot of that lately. It's a bit like a coronavirus.
This is a dumpster.
Yeah, well, it's a shipping container. My mom was picking up groceries, was waiting to have like groceries, put into her trunk. And so there was a whole row of shipping containers. So I just got out and walked around and took photos for about 10 minutes while she was. And I just saw a lot on this particular, it was right around, Halloween, and I tend to see faces and creatures. But then, I saw texture as I see on the screen here, but I also saw those little shapes. And I just had a lot of fun taking a bunch of photos while I was waiting for her.
I love the creature of the especially the first ones. I saw a kind of family, or this one, that make me
the legs.
lot of things, and the very first one too.
Yes.
Yeah,
they're great. I really see the little family going on, and
yeah, there's some weird creatures there with the dripping and the splatter, but there's drippings kind of like yogurt. And yeah, it reminded me of some weird creatures of a comic book I used to read when I was young. like, whoa, you found them. They're all here, because there were lots of kind of weird metamorphical white creatures that would eat everything. I'm like, oh, here they are. It's very, very evocative, very graphic, but also because of how these drippings and the angles you took them from, they're evocative in a very basic way. Like, I mean, basic, like how we see things as a child, no? Like the shape, where is it going? I quite like this series as well. Sorry.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, again, just overall, knowing that you get a full kind of context of the space, you're exploring an area, you're exploring a space, and so we get not just like the one shot, but like a kind of exploration of the space. I think is a really cool thing that sets your photography apart too, that we get to see the full shoot of that space. Cool. I love, and I don't know what those little nodules are. Like there's little nibs in there.
Yeah.
There's definitely some serious texture there with the sunlight coming off them. That aerial overview of like a tundra with the light on the like snow-covered trees and the sun.
Yeah, I do sometimes break my own rule. I mean, because if I typically that would have been the first shot, because I would have started most micro, but sometimes something comes up at a different layer that just I find amusing or interesting, which is why in this case, what I highlighted in the first shot was the creatures. But yeah, I love landscapes, and I think that might be like moss or something. I mean, it's whatever it is it's not sanitary. But I
Great. Okay, next we have Wendy.
This this photograph really spoke to me. Visually, it is stunning. The perspective on it. I like that one as well, but it's the first one that
that was your main choice.
This was my main choice. And I just love the line of what were these? Jess, were these like some kind of containers, or what is this?
These are panels on the side of a parking garage, and I had these photos in like 2 minutes because I was going to a concert with my sister, and she was not happy that I was trying to stop to take photos.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the colorful panels on the side of a parking garage.
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about this one at some.
Yes, we did.
Yes, liked the second one. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one with the geometry.
Yeah.
I think we had one with red and green and the shades.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Secret Santa.
Okay, yes.
Oh, it's the first one.
Yeah.
So when I find the perspective on this really interesting. One, you have probably which was a straight wall, and because of the perspective, it gives you at the top of the wall before it hits the ceiling, it gives you a curved line, a beautiful curved line from the top down to that line to near the bottom of the left.
This line here?
The left side, yeah, from the top down, that kind of curve. It looks very curved. And the one thing I would suggest to you, Jess, is that you trim that left side just a little to take off that last post, because the line, that curved line, is really, really strong when you take that little tippy post at the very left out. the perspective on this is really interesting. The shapes, the verticals, as well as the horizontals and the diamonds, squares. What's interesting is you have some keystoning going on, and that's where you have vertical lines that start to converge, and it's because you're at an angle. It's a big issue with architectural photography, and a lot of times photographers try to get rid of keystoning, and they'll even take it into Photoshop, and there are ways in which you can straighten things out so the lines are parallel. But in this particular case, I love the keystoning because, see, if you look at all of the posts on the left, they're pretty parallel. But that one on the far right, you see it start to lean in. And eventually, if it went on forever and ever, those lines would converge, just like a horizon. When you look at two straight lines on a horizon, they converge, right, to a vanishing point. Kind of like it with keystoning as well. But it creates these great shapes. In the front end, you have these big, large shapes. And as you go down, the shapes get smaller and smaller and smaller, and the color variations, it's just really dynamic.
Wendy, I want to make sure I understand. You're saying I should take off that last little pillar on the left, or take off the big one on the right? The one on the right's wonderful. That's the one that's keystoning, the one that's like starting to converge when the one next to it, but it creates these great shapes with that. No, it's that little post at the very end. It kind of breaks that beautiful line you have coming from all the tops of the wall down. That last little one just got it off so much.
Yeah, you could Photoshop that out too, because I like yellow right at the edge, that green, but just curve it. I don't know. Can you explain keystoning a little bit more? I'm just not sure if I understand.
Keystoning is where you have parallel lines that look like they're starting to converge. They're angled towards each other, or they're, so you see this, the second post from the right, is straight.
Yeah.
That's really the one that should be straight, because that's kind of like the center where everything starts coming, where the eye, I think, hits. That's perfect. But the one to the right, if you see it, it's wider at the bottom than it is at the top. It's starting to angle, and it's the perspective you're looking at. If you were looking at this straight on, you would see perfectly parallel poles, right?
Right.
Whereas in this case, they're starting to, it's a distortion. And usually it's a distortion you don't want, but in this case, the distortion is fantastic because it creates those wonderful shapes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, another example would be, say you're standing in front of a big cathedral, trying to take a picture of the whole church. And when you take that picture, by the time you get to the top of the church, it's sort of skinny and leaning in.
Mm-hmm.
The sides of the church have that angle to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of, from an architectural point of view, you want it to be, the building is straight up and down, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've been fixing that in some of my photos, and now I know what that means, or what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Love the colors. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Beautiful colors. Really pops.
And they're believable colors.
Well, this is before I knew how to edit. This was before Jonathan told me about Snapseed. So this is definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, this one isn't one that you want to go subtle on. This one is saturate the hell out of it because it's so geometric, and I think that's the focus. So the color can go up and down. When it's like with Wendy's stuff, it was a little more, it would be garish if you did it. But this is what it's supposed to be. You can crank it way up, and it's great.
Well, they're beautiful as it is too, because it is so believable.
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
Hey.
Did I hear a hey?
Yes, it's me, Lauren.
Oh, Lauren, hey, welcome.
Oh, hey.
How are you?
Good.
Oh, everybody stop talking about Lauren now.
Yeah, oh yeah, geez.
He's here.
Am I appearing as I should?
No, we didn't talk
You are-
about you. We're just kidding.
you're here, you're in.
Okay.
But
Excellent.
I think we may save you for next week anyway, because we took an hour for Wendy,
Okay.
and now we're just, I feel like if we try, yeah, we're not gonna rush to squeak in, but you're welcome to join in the discussion, of course.
Perfect. Thank you.
So now we're talking about Jess, and this is Anne's, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, other end.
Yes, I love this because what you have here is kind of the unreliable narrator. It's open, but you're like, seriously, it's been painted over, it's all bolted in. And yet that's what's so wonderful about it, because it's like, the message. And of course, when you have text in a photograph, that gives you, you have a wordy narrative rather than a visual language. And I love the kind of dichotomy there. And you have all the dripping and stuff and a lot of texture. And so it's like, it's a thing. And then it had, there was a piece taken off of it and then it was repainted or something. There's a lot of action and movement and stuff happening here that are very intriguing. You're like, what is this? What did it do? Why did it end up like this? And is it open? And yet open in a metaphorical sense is like, we're open to interpretation. What do you think this could possibly be? I was just really fascinated, because generally I try not to have words. When you take pictures of things, if there is some, real text in it, then you have to deal with that in some way or another, or people will go directly to the text. That's what it means. And it's like, well, you're talking imagery rather than verbiage. But this was like 50 layers of both, and I just loved it. And you got crackler on the bottom, and then you have dripping, softer liquid stuff on the top. And then the asymmetrical screw things, kind of giving it some movement and motion. I was just really fascinated by this one. And the funny thing is, Jess, I didn't know this was you. I keep watching my feed and I'm going, ooh, Visuals4Cacophony. Who is that? And then when you click on that, there isn't a name on it. And I was like, wow, I love this artist. Who are they? And then finally, through one of these things with Tim, I figured out, I deduced that it was you. And then, wow, I've been seeing this person on the screen for how long and didn't really connect right away. So it was like, even better, this is somebody we've talked to and we can get feedback from. So the whole exercise, these are why these exercises are so great. You learn so many new things and you're surprised by stuff, and all kinds of cool dynamics are happening here. So wonderful group, I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is some kind of meter I came across when I was biking to the mall. It's in the parking lot of my closest shopping mall.
But a meter.
So I was biking and I stopped. I was like, what is that? And so I just took the photos, but I like the colors. I like the shapes, and in terms of the side. But yeah, like I don't know how the meter works.
or what it measures.
Right. What's it for? What are we metering here? And this one is great because it looks like, you're looking through glass into another dimension or something. And I don't know what it is. Is it the bolt coming out and the shadow is hitting it funny? I don't know.
Oh, I think there's a hole. I think there's a hole there.
Okay.
There's
and you are looking into something.
Yeah.
I think there's this rusty lever outside the pink meter.
Okay.
I don't know.
Where do you live, Jess? seems there's like some old, like that kind of thing. I've seen it in like in the beaches in England, that kind of object, and with the hole and the and it's very colorful. It looks really old, so a lot of coats of paint have gone. Where do you live? It's pretty cool.
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh wow, you show a more colorful Cincinnati than I would have imagined.
Yeah, it's another look at Cincinnati.
Cool. And you're shooting mostly with phones. It sounds like,
solely,
right?
solely with my iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
brilliant. Love it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay, Muriel is next.
Yeah, it's a one very different from the previous one. For me, I am really moved by this image. I think it's really a pure tenderness, and I see what is strange is that I see the child and her parent. For me, it could be a father, but I see the child and her parent both. Well, I have a profile view. They can face each other, perhaps kissing each other, and also they could be facing us, and also it could be a back view, and all of three alternative view operates very well for me. And well, also I really love the minimalism and the monochromatic, just monochromatic effect, but also like quite a golden effect. And also I like the rose texture. Well, I love this image.
Yeah, it's a mental one for me just because it was on it's like the concrete floor of like an industrial art gallery in a kind of artsy neighborhood in Cincinnati. So I went to see works that were on the wall, and as I was walking around, saw this, but I separated from my child who lives in Washington, D.C. I get to see her about once a month. So in addition to seeing faces and creatures here, I just very distinctly saw a mother and child. So I snapped it.
Can I ask a question? Are others allowed to participate?
Yeah,
of course.
Okay. So I'm not sure how much you saw the quote father or child when you took the picture, or whether that's something that you picked up on after. So
I saw, the first thing I saw was this image, like not as close, and so I kind of see a long dress and I see holding a child up, but the first image in the stack does make it, I think, more gender neutral for sure.
Okay, because I guess what my question is whether this rectangle on the bottom is distracting or contributing, and whether it would have been more effective if you cropped in so that that rectangle doesn't really show very much, and what your vision concentrates on are these two heads and shoulders.
Yeah, these rectangle can be distracting depending on what image you're looking at. When I first saw it, it looked kind of like a satchel, but it also looked kind of like the child's leg wrapping around the parent or mother's, like as if the mother was like holding the child up. So yeah, it doesn't fit perfectly, but I was still able to, somehow my mind was definitely seeing a mother and child, and so I overlooked
Okay, because the viewer you know, of course, well, I feel the image could be stronger if that brick part didn't exist. And if you just put your hand over it and just look at the top half of it or so. And so when you're photographing, to allow yourself the opportunity, since it's not film, to just try so many different crops on things, in a sense, to let your rationality go and just intuitively relate to whatever is that's pulling you in. And you know, it just gives you more choice in the final say as to where you want to be and where it comes across most effectively. I get stuck on the brick.
Yeah, I mean,
I like the verticality of it, because I think if you cropped it above the brick,
Yeah, there's not
I
enough.
think it loses,
Yeah.
you know, some compositional element there. And I also, I see what she was just saying about, that's kind of like the child's leg there, which is interesting because the parent figure is sort of these softer, you know, the grainier texture. And then the child is a firmer, flatter space. Like, you know, the kid is maybe, you know, stiff, and kids, you know, squirming, you're trying to hold them in place. And the parent is, you know, flowing into it more. And I mean, I see what you mean, but then taking it out is like, if you Photoshop those out, you know, then it,
No, I'm not
it becomes just,
suggesting-
you know, it's hard to reconcile what you did. But
I'm not suggesting photoshopping it out. I'm suggesting when shooting, think of different croppings.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then you've got more choice. That's
Right.
all. Yeah. No, I think it would be a monster to Photoshop that out and make it look realistic. And it could be done just optically through use of cropping. It could even become a vertical, leaving a little bit more room at the top. But whatever.
No,
that's everyone's personal prerogative, in a sense, to choose how they crop things and what they include and what they don't include. I'm just responding in terms of how it hit me.
Yeah, I would that feedback, because I do think that was a time when I really did have time and could have taken several more versions or crops of it. And I think about, I tend to keep imperfections, even sometimes massive imperfections. And honestly, with what's going on with my life, a massive obstacle is between us right now. So anyway, it seems fitting, but I can see it being confusing or not as cohesive for an outside viewer without that context.
Right.
I like it. And if you have to bring meaning to that rectangle, it could be even a towel, like she's drying the child off after a bath or something, even.
Yeah, your mind fills in the blanks, right? Whatever's there, you're just like, okay, it's got to be that then. It's got to be.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me though. I like it with the organic, and then the rectangle adds a little more to it. In fact, I don't know, makes it more complex or something.
Yeah, I like it as well, because otherwise it would be very clearly parent and child, and so it's more abstract. And on the left there's this black whatever salamander, and further down is a bit of yellow. It's leaves more room for interpretation.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Very interesting. Okay, we got Ann Evans. Nice.
So I didn't realize these were stacked really when I saw them. I mean, and I definitely like this one. I did look after I'd chosen this. But I like reflections too. I like lines. I like where you can't really tell what it is, you know, and now I see where it's, you know, and I like the element of putting it in its place too. After I see that first one, it's really cool to follow it through and see how it exists. I just think there's so much motion and things going on there with the plants, the man-made, the organic, just the lighting. I mean, it's busy, but I just really think it's very dynamic.
And multiple exposure in one shot.
Yeah,
that's genius. You know, save yourself time and energy. But I mean, it's, you look at all those layers and you know, things like Barb stuff, you know, where it's layer, and it's like, no, this was, you know, you found the right reflective surface and you pull it all in at once. It's and then it has its own kind of cohesiveness because it really happened that way. I love it.
Yeah, and I like the exploring of that you know, subject as you go through the stack. I mean, I do that too in some situations, you know.
Yeah, that one.
I really like the colors too. Like I'm a fan of the color pop there, and just a real rainbow effect of colors. Plus, you have again this contrast between the very grid-like graph paper line, almost a collage of graph paper, mixed in with the organic shadows. Has some really nice contrasting quality of man-made and natural organic shapes.
That's one of the themes I just find myself coming to again and again, is man-made and organic. Just a lot of my photos have that juxtaposition, like trees and, you know, telephone lines, or, you know, trees and towers. But so this is the Crone Conservatory, and there's a art installation called Prismatica that's like these they're probably like 6 or 7 feet tall. They're like these prisms. I was chatting with a friend of mine who was like, oh yeah, I saw that exhibit, the installation with the prisms. And he was like, I just found it kind of boring, kind of underwhelming. I was like, well, did you look through the prisms? And I showed him some of my pictures, and he was like, whoa. Because as I looked through one, I was like, I just have to take pictures. I kept seeing things over time. But, you know, clearly, and towards the end of the stack, I, you know, try to give a sense of those triangular prisms themselves. They actually spin and they make kind of a wind chime noise too, but there was no way for me to capture that.
I really like in a lot of your work, and in this series, it's very, very clear that exactly what you say, that the mixture of natural, mainly plant shapes, and lines and construction and metal and the thing of humans and city, and you do it really nicely. This little series, I can't believe your friend did not look through them. I mean, that's the point of the art installation, and it looks amazing. And in the case of a conservatory, if I'm correct, is like a greenhouse, kind of like a pretty greenhouse, a botanical collection. I always like that of those, because you have this construction that is transparent. You get lines, metal, glass, and then you have all these exotic plants inside, which for some reason always look much more exotic when they're inside a construction than, for example, when they're outside. For me, they're very common, these plants. So it's like, I don't know, it's an emphasis that in this particular series is completely well arranged, and the colors are awesome.
Cool one too.
How did this person think these prisms were boring? Is he colorblind? I could spend hours shooting those and running and climbing and doing, you know.
I think he just didn't look through them. So looking at them as like their unit, just as the columns, colorful columns. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I think you developed his eyesight and his, the eye of the imagination. Good work.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool.
Sometimes people need help seeing things. And that's partially what we do, is to kind of help people to look a little closer sometimes.
Borrow our eyes for just a second.
Yes.
Just looking through your feed, I really, really like all the different subjects too. And that's kind of how I am too, just in your life. You see that and that day, and then you're going somewhere else, see that. It's very nice.
Cool. Yeah, we'll do a scroll through before we leave, Jess. Did we just do Barb, or is this is Barb here?
This one's mine.
Okay.
Wow.
So this one, well, first off, personally, often I find really bright colors like this to be, they often just lead towards garish, and this wasn't it at all. And I just really likes the juxtaposition of these shapes with the trees. I just thought it worked really well.
Yeah.
Outside the Cincinnati Art Museum, and the neon lights were kind of had different, slightly, the reflections differed slightly, but I didn't need to do any saturation or anything on these.
Oh no, yeah.
Kind of color on that like silver metallic structure, and then obviously what it was doing to the leaves and the branches around at night.
Did the colors change? The neon colors change?
I don't think they were changing. I think it just depended on my angle. And I mean, sometimes, at least with the iPhone, depending on how I zoom in, it'll adjust how bright the image is.
Yeah.
And so some of that variation is, like, so just at the angle I was, like the colored lights weren't directly, like here, the colored lights were directly reflecting onto the sculpture, whereas at that other angle they weren't. And I was intentionally trying to get the tree branches behind because I like the juxtaposition of like metal and, inorganic and organic. So
yeah.
Yeah, kind of otherworldly.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was brushed metal, or like.
Yeah, it's
brushed metal. Yeah.
And that sculpture itself is so unique and weird. I'm like, what are we even? It's sort of defying gravity the way they put that together. And I'm like, really, what am I looking at? Because it was clearly a thing. You have a real tree next to it. So I'm going, okay, this isn't a trick of, proportion or some kind of masking or a filter or something like that. Like, the hell is this, but that's makes it art, right? But and then to make more art with art, it's like, yeah, it's, yeah, second level stuff.
Nice. I think, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you could just go back to that one.
Yeah.
That last picture.
Here we are.
Yeah, what I find interesting is that really, whoops.
Lauren, you okay?
Yes.
Oh, that wasn't you falling.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just see. I wasn't seeing the whole picture, but even so, to some extent, it's a picture of negative space because we have these two defining areas, one on the right, one on the left, and then the negative space is what's in between. And then if you start to look at that as a shape in itself, then in a sense, it becomes the subject. But obviously it's not the subject. And in fact, because I didn't have this centered on my phone, I wasn't seeing the yellow on the left-hand side. So it even appeared more so as if it was a picture of negative space. But that's often something worth exploring, because we're so caught up on what's attracting us, and that it's a very interesting exercise to photograph the negative space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to go to Anne.
Oh. Well, that's me.
Yeah, Anne Evans.
Oh, I already did mine.
Oh,
No,
did we?
that's me.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
my-
Anne. Okay, no, we
We already
did.
did this one, yeah.
Okay. Have I missed anyone else? Let me see here. We did Barb. Okay, here's mine.
I think mine's the last one.
Oh, okay. This is the one I chose. I just was, I love the colors. I love the geometry of it. And again, that kind of neat angle that has all these triangles popping out. It looks like railroad, like a railroad bridge. But it just popped out at me as like really tasty. The colors, the crunch, and yeah, a little bit of variety in the context of the series. Right, yeah, looks like a railway bridge or some kind of industrial overpass, I think is what it is. Blue overpass.
Yeah, it's a blue overpass.
Okay. But yeah, that was my main thing. Was I like the shapes. I like the strong dark diagonal with all the accents around it. The blues contrasting, like the cool blues contrasting with the fiery rust, and then the varieties of geometry filling out the rest of the space.
Yeah, I mean, as you all may have noticed, I do have like a whole rust theme, on my page. So this is a good example of that. And I like to take things that I like geometry and intersections. So my angle certainly reflects that.
You definitely do a little bit of, you'll set it askew a little bit just to throw us off.
Yeah, I like distortion. But yeah, for this one, this was post my Jonathan mentioning Snapseed. So I did saturate it a bit. But again, I think sometimes I might, for what other people might consider oversaturation, but I wanted the fire to pop out. And so, yeah, it's what it is.
Oh, it's great.
The colors are delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that one too. I really like the lines and lines of different colors, shapes. Cool. All right, let's do we'll do a slow scroll through Jess's feed and just let's comment on just overall themes that we notice or like that are present in her work, kind of like an overview of what we notice.
Love that sweep on the first one.
The sweep?
That bridge or whatever is being built there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a bridge. Wow, that's neat. Yeah.
I mean, with Jess, I think again, like the variety of subject material is pretty amazing. You got a lot of nature, like that's really cool too. The I don't know if it's a succulent but
yeah, and that tan one there.
Like a cabbage of sorts.
Mm-hmm. Just a lot of variety.
Yeah, I like the variety.
Like you really don't know what's coming next on the feed. It's kind of a exciting what's coming next kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's really great too.
Yeah.
I also think just the series effect of like showing a series of a space is the other kind of another defining feature.
Yeah.
Jess, a question about your series. Do you take multiple photos of your subject, or do you have one photo and you crop it different ways?
Usually I take several photos, and then I will sometimes, as I'm constructing the series, I'll sometimes crop some photos. There are instances where I might take 3 photos that are very similar, but with the intention of zooming in for the effects that I like. But usually I'm taking very distinct photos.
Okay, good.
The one of the manhole cover, oh, so cool with all those needles, things in the.
Oh, here. Yeah. This one.
Oh, that's really cool. And some aren't huge stacks either. There's different numbers. Which I think is nice too. And that crack, the sidewalk cracks. Oh,
Oh yeah.
Kind of a similarity here.
Yeah.
Turn to clear vision.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's really
wonderful.
They're really strong graphically.
Yeah.
Cool. Like that one too.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that pyramid one in the middle with that
Yeah,
little black
right.
thing. That looks like something out of Machu Picchu or Mexico.
With the reflection in the background of
Yeah. The clouds or the plume of smoke from the volcano or something. It's great.
That's great. Really
I told Jess that looked like laundry.
Yeah.
Oh,
laundry day.
Laundry day.
In Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your feedback and your interpretation.
This has been awesome just to learn about all you, well, these 2 artists, and very inspiring.
This is much better than Camera Club, where you have to sit around and people are busy. Oh boy, the f-stop and the thing,
Oh yes.
Oh, I went on a couple of those and they go, wouldn't you like to join? I said, oh, maybe some other time. And then you leave forever because I'm like, it seems like they're just focusing on, the photography rather than the art.
The
I
mechanic.
don't even call myself a photographer anymore. They go, you photographer? No, because then they expect that you'll come and do their wedding or, I said, no, I'm an artist. And I feel like that's really what we are. And that's what brought us into this group. It's art rather than what I can do with my camera stuff, which, the know-it-alls in the Camera Club, God love them, but I said, well, that just isn't my vibe. I could really care less about your f-stop. If I can learn from it, swell. But the camera knows more than I do. I just, I compose and I let the camera figure out all the details. So, and this is fun because we're talking more about what it means, not what it is, or what it could be, or why even you wanted to shoot it, which is far more important, than how well you framed it and how technically perfect it is. So, this is my tribe. I need you guys. I'm so glad that we all came together like this because it just it keeps me going all the time. Going, yeah, I'll bet you they'd like that, or what are they going to say about these things? And it's so enriching, and it's fun. I don't feel like I'm being lectured in a class. I'm a lifelong educator, and I've been to some horrible lectures, and these are not it. This is lively and wonderful. It's just great.
I mean, these things excite me. I don't know why they do. I can't describe it, and you guys get it. It's just, and I like going out by myself, not like with a group, like a photo group. I want to just do my own thing.
Wonderful. That's what this is for. That's what we're here for. To get
Can
each
you see
other.
this group on a field trip? Be hoisting Wendy into the dumpster. Okay, now shoot. We got your feet. Hold on, you know. Or fishing
Not
out cameras
dangling.
from ponds and whatnot.
If we're in your city, I'd love to meet up, you know. with you guys.
Yeah,
That'd be
we should
wonderful
choose a
documentary,
place.
wouldn't it?
That would
What
be
do we call
awesome.
ourselves the dumpster? What is that word we had at the beginning?
The dumpster fires.
That's on
Fire.
fire.
The dumpster fire, yeah. And then, you know, make a documentary of this, of how we're traipsing around in these unsavory places and finding all these wonderful angles. Okay, I got a videographer. in
That'd
mind.
be great. Okay, I think we're gonna round it off now. It's just coming on 2 o'clock. This whole thing has been recorded too, so I will put it up, and we can. I think again, it'll be a link only, like not publicly shared, just a private link.
I don't have to link it now though, because I don't see where you do that on my personal. It's going to be a group.
It's recording to my computer, and then
Oh.
I will upload it to YouTube, and then I will send. If the confusing thing is, we've got the Instagram chat group, which I posted there, but I'll also post it to the message to the people I sent emails to, so that they have it as well. But it's only people with the link can access it. It's not a public. It's not
Okay.
published. It's an unpublished link. So
Can I
anyway,
ask, can I ask a question? That is it okay if I share the link to the session we did for David with David's mentor?
absolutely. I think anyone's fine, and I think it's okay to, unless people are feeling strongly about not having it shared, they should. If you don't want one of these things shared, then please say, because I think it's fair to share it to other people who are going to be interested. Like share it judiciously and personally with people who you think would be into a 2-hour chat about abstract photography. Like I'm just against like it being open to whoever to comment and publish, and like I think share it with people you think are going to appreciate it. And if I think most people are on board with that version of the sharing. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tim. I thought this format was really great.
Well, it was
I loved
Alan's idea, based on what we did with David, to give us all, like, while we're alive, let's hear what people appreciate about our photography. It's a beautiful format too. So, and I think doing 2, like it might have felt rushed to do more than 2. I think 2 might be the sweet spot, or have. We'll see how it goes. Well, I'll be interested in hearing people's feedback after this. If you think about the pacing of it, how it was, because again, we don't want people waiting months and months to have their turn. But we also want to make sure the people who have their turn get the right amount of attention, and feedback and discussion. Because the thing we didn't have with David was we didn't have him to talk about everything. Like we filled in everything, whereas here we have the benefit of the photographer to give us the insight into where was that, what were their techniques, their ideas. Like that's a really interesting part of it too. So leaving time like that takes up a little bit of extra time, not extra, that takes up good time to hear the backstory and insights behind the scenes kind of stuff. So yeah, as it is, that's how it is. We'll call it. We've got I haven't had a chance to read the chat, but download the chat if you want. And I'll also be able to save the chat and repost the chat in the IG group. But
that'd be great. I forgot about the chat altogether.
Yeah, I couldn't check it because I had my screen shared. I didn't want to clog up the screen, but you can save the chat and I'll repost it afterwards as well.
That'd be great.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
You guys are great.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Great job, everyone.
Bye.
All right. We'll do another one soon.
Okay.
All right. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.